What's up, guys? YZL back here. One more again for you guys. I kind of want to talk a little bit today about something that I think is extremely important, okay? It is going to be assets and liabilities. This might even literally be a series because it's so freaking important, it's not even funny. And actually, if you guys don't already have it, I'll put a link down in the description. Basically, one of the first books that I read that kind of got me thinking in this way was Rich Dad Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki, right? Amazing, 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 amazing book and author, let me tell you, okay? Oh my gosh, wow. Now even hearing myself say that, I'm just thinking about how much like content I've learned, because that wasn't the only book. That was the book that got me hooked, right? So all his content, like, oh my God, I read basically all of his books. I think there's only like 2 or 3 that I haven't read. And basically what I got from Rich Dad Poor Dad was literally that, how to look at things in the perspective of assets versus liabilities. Okay, now we're gonna do a ton of other videos kind of on that, but what I wanted to do was really just kind of talk about what assets you already have that you're not really aware of, okay? Most businesses, well, it depends what kind of business we're talking about, but they have what's known as intellectual property. Well, you yourself, you are an entity, you are a business yourself. So you have something very similar, and what that intellectual property, if you will, is the information here contained inside your mind, right? So kind of what I want to talk about, the main asset that you have that most people kind of overlook is your brain, you know? And I know it's so like simple to say, oh, use your brain, right? But the reality is your brain is so freaking powerful. There isn't a device that even comes close to the power, or the output at least, of your brain in the known universe. I would even stretch that far to say that, you know. So it's extremely important just to just be mindful of really the content that's going inside your mind. So I think it's really important, if you're going to go down the path of being an entrepreneur, to make sure that you're also focusing on improving yourself, your mindset. It is so important, and it's so funny. I know that most people don't really want to hear that, but trust me, if you want the secret sauce, study that. Because I, gone through some changes and, some ups and downs in my life, and whenever I'm at the lowest point, I realize that if I just fill myself up with more information, I can go from 0 to 60 real quick. So that's kind of what I do, man. I just focus mainly on my mindset because I know how important it is. And I read a lot of books. Like, I've probably read over 30 books. May not seem a lot, but I mean, I just kind of, started to really accept the fact that I did need to improve myself about 3.5 years ago. Okay, so mind you, I had gone on years, and if you were tuned into the very first video I put out about, kind of like who I am, where I came from, I did run those businesses without knowing the things that I know now that I've learned from those books. And as you can see, I'm not doing it today. I'm no longer in those businesses, okay? So it's extremely important to focus on the content that's going inside of your head. Because what's ultimately going to happen is, I think it's Earl Nightingale. Go check out his book, The Stranger's Secret. I'll link a copy of that in the description as well too. But yeah, I learned from from one of his famous quotes is, "You become what you think about most of the time," and that is kind of true. Well, actually, it's actually really true for the most part, but so I kind of tend to just try to focus on the things that I actually want. Now, nobody is ever going to be perfect. You're never going to reach a point in your life where it's like, okay, I am never going to have a bad thought ever again, because trust me, if you go about it that way, it won't even work. It's not natural, it's not normal, so it's okay to have negative thoughts. And in fact, I read another book. See, I'm just like name dropping books. It's so important. And it's so funny. I know Ty always talks about that. Hey, my garage, guys, knowledge, right? But it's true though, man. It's funny. Like people make fun of it, but it's so funny, dude. It's true. Like people don't realize how powerful, the information in a lot of these books and a lot of these courses, even too. Because for real estate, I did, hire a trainer and a coach and whatnot and all that kind of stuff, and paid the whole, the $9.95 to get started, and then, the monthly thing, and it does work. I'm telling you, you do see an ROI. So always, always, always invest in yourself. Is my point. Always invest in yourself. Don't even hesitate. Don't even think, because there's ways, and I'll kind of talk about it, in later videos, how it looks like you're paying for upfront for, this content that you're receiving, but I can show you how to set it up to where you actually won't be in the long term. On paper, you won't be. So, and of course it's 100% legal, and no, I'm not gonna, offer any tax advice, but it's just I just kind of want to just, put that out there, is that don't ever be afraid to spend the money up front, because it does yield results if you take it seriously. It all depends on you. Like, everything works for the most part. Like, nothing's a freaking scam. Do not buy into that crap. Okay, everybody will tell you, oh, this is a scam, that's a scam. Well, if you were smart, you wouldn't be afraid to take risks, because you even know how to position it to be a win, even if it may appear to be a loss, right? So again, there's no, I don't feel like there's like a magic pill, but I feel like there's certain pieces that you need to collect in order to form a picture. So if you look at it like literally an image, a digital image is made up of how many millions of different pixels, small little pieces and fragments of a image make up a larger picture. So I think it's important to take up little bits of information to make up a larger picture. So, yeah, I think mainly what you got to do is not so much, oh, I got to think positive, I got to think positive. Just start setting little goals for yourself that you can achieve, and just kind of stick to it. I know it's going to be difficult at first to actually be consistent with sticking to those things, but just try to do it as best as you can for about 3 weeks. And if you could do it for 3 weeks, you pretty much could do it for the rest of your life. Because that's kind of how I got started in the whole fitness. Now I'm dude, 5 years into it, consistently working out. If I can show you some before and after pictures, I'm not really a picture person, but I wish I could have took some before pictures of how I looked before I started working out 5 years ago, and then how I look now. It's just completely different, right? It's just totally 100% completely different. And yeah, I forgot where I was going with that, but pretty much in a nutshell, I just want to just stress the fact that if you're going to go down the path of business, you have to make sure that you're focusing on your mindset first, because I found that the difference between what makes people rich and not is literally their mindset. I was driving next, shout out to Usher if you're gonna watch this, Usher, but I literally was driving next to Usher probably about a week or so ago. He was in his car that I'm probably going to get not too long from now. Maybe not that version, but I'm going to get that brand. He was in his dope Wraith, for those of you guys who know about those cars, right? He was in one of those, and I just happened to I was coming off the 405 or whatever, and I just happened to look back behind me, and it was the car that's basically that is kind of one of my dream car, not my dream car, because I have 3 or 4 of them. But it's one of my dream cars, and I seen it behind me. I was like, oh, there it is, right? I was like, oh, who is this? Because I like to see that, I like to see people in super dope cars, who are self-made, came from nothing, and just kind of figure out what makes them tick, And I remember I was just looking, and I saw that car come. I was like, wow, who is this boss right here, about to come up in this Wraith right now? And I just happened to look, and I was like, wait a minute. And then he kind of came out of the lane from behind me, and then came on the side, and I was like, wait a minute. That's literally Usher in that car. He had no tint on his windows. Much respect, much love. Usher is a really great guy. And it's funny because I saw the little Tony Robbins, I think it was UPW or something like that. But he kind of was in one of the little commercials, and I saw him there. And I was like, aha! So I put 2 and 2 together. I saw him there going to a Tony Robbins event, and then I saw him right next to me in the car. And I realized 2 things. I said, okay, what is different physically from me and Usher? And I was literally thinking about it and looking, I'm like, well, obviously the features, but other than that, really nothing, right? There's really nothing physically that you can see that separates me from a guy like Usher, right? Physically that you can see, other than the features, right? So I was thinking, well, what is it that makes him so great, if you will? What makes him successful? And if you think about it, if physically there's no difference, well, what else is there? If physically we're the same, what else is there that you can't see? Your brain, my friend, your brain, the information that you contain, your assets, your intellectual property, okay? So that's kind of my whole point here, is that you want to make sure that you're focused on the information that is going into your head, okay? Everybody talks about this, from, you know, the president to everybody talks about how negative the media is and the news outlets. I'm not going to sit up here and stress that. I think most of you guys who are watching this are smart enough to know that it's full of garbage, and they just try to get you hooked in off negative stories. Because the analogy I like to use, and I don't want to make this too long, I'm probably going to end it after this, is picture it like this. There's two televisions, okay? On the very first television, we're watching a bird. They're in a tree, they're in their nest, a mother bird, and her babies are there, her newborns, right? She's feeding them. That's the first image on that first TV, okay? You're watching that. On the second TV, okay, that same mother bird is there with her, you know, new babies and whatnot. She's there in the nest, right? Okay, she leaves to go get them food. Now you're seeing her to go actually get the food. And then a huge hawk just swoops in, bam, grabs all the baby birds, eats them alive, and takes off.